Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that help you unleash what you were born to bring. I get to chat with heart led experts. I get to ask those questions that you're thinking about and explore conversations that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and help you show up fully in life, in work, with your family, and everywhere else. So today we are exploring art, identity, and parenthood because you can write creatively after having kids. And this conversation is worth your while if you've ever wondered how to keep your creative spark alive while raising kids. Because if you have, you are not alone, because almost every writer who becomes a parent hits that wall. But you do not have to choose. I want to say that again. You do not have to choose. You can be both a great parent and a great writer. In fact, the two roles can actually fuel each other. And you know what? The world needs your stories more now than ever. So if that's what you're here to unleash, today's podcast is going to help you do that. So I am your host, Linda Bucher, and honestly, I have the best job in the world because I get to help impact-driven humans like you to get unstuck and unleash what you were born to bring. So not only is that my superpower, but it's also my mission. But you know what? Like for decades, I tried to live life like everybody else thought I should, and I was raising my kids and not doing my art. And you know what? It just left me stuck. It left me frustrated. It let me feel like my gifts were just like waiting in the wings. And some days I was like, do I even have any gifts? Like, where are they? But I did make a choice. I was like 45 years old when I did it, but I made a choice to stop chasing someone else's version of success, what I thought I was supposed to be doing, and start stepping into my own. And that journey didn't just change my life, it actually became my mission. And so now I get to do the work I love. Like I said, helping impact driven humans like you to break free from all that baloney that's holding you back and step fully into yours so you can bring your brilliance into the world. Because you know what? Your gifts matter and it's time to share them. Okay, that's enough about that. But I will point you that, if this is like intriguing, you're like, wait a minute, I got gifts. I might want to, what do I have to do? Head on over to lindabucher.com and just say hello. There's a lot of good stuff there. I got a cool freebies page. You can just check stuff out. Okay, back to today's conversation. Art, identity, and parenthood. Like we could just stop there. Like feel like that's like, right? So, we're talking about that creative spark and where did it go when we're raising kids. So I have an expert today who's a very cool human. I am joined by Milda M. DeVoe. She's an award-winning creative writer and the founder of Pen Parentis. She writes under the name M.M. DeVoe, and she likes to be called M. So we got lots of names there. But M is making positive ripples in a beautiful, unique way. She is an art enabler. Like, I just love that right there. And her art is writing. So she creates art, she experiences art, but you know what else she does? She helps others do the same through her nonprofit. So, M, thank you so much for being here today. And can you tell us just a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Linda. This is so exciting. It's so fun to be with somebody else who actually cares that other people do better in their lives. Like, I think that this is so wonderful. I was so excited to hear about your podcast and how it opens people's lives. And I hope that your listeners today get really jazzed and like go and write a whole bunch of stuff, or art, or make paint, or draw soap on the walls. I don't care what you do. You should do something artistic. Please don't let that die in you. So, hi, I'm M.M. DeVoe, and I write crazy fiction. It's very weird. It's very Twilight Zone-y. But what else I do is I have a nonprofit, and that helps other writers stay creative after they have kids. I just really believe in it. I believe that writers and parents can coexist in the same person. It's all about balance. We'll talk about balance later, won't we, Linda? We'll talk about like balancing our lives. But I just wanted you all to say, to just get excited. So we're gonna have a great conversation. I can't wait.
Yay, awesome. Okay, so art, identity, and parenthood. So let's start with talking about like pain points. I'm a parent, you're a parent, and it is so normal for parents to like be in a time crunch. I mean, from the minute you wake up, you're like, got to get the kids off here, got to do that, we're driving them all over the place. We're still trying to do what we want to do or what we got, but we start with what we got to do. We start with these obligations and we make that really be our identity. And so we're running out of time. We're running out of energy. Like I know when I raised my three kids, I was a single mom because my husband passed away when my kids were 3, 5, and 7. So I'm like raising these kids by myself. And there's one of me and there's three of them, and I got to be in zone coverage the whole entire time. And it's like exhausting, right? And then energy was another part that I would run out of. And that's my oldest son has ADHD. And if anyone can zap your whole day's store of energy in 5 minutes, it's having an argument with a 7-year-old with ADHD. You're like, oh my God, he just depleted everything, you know? And it was probably worse when he was 14. So I want to just validate that it's real. The struggle is real. There is a time crunch. There is an energy crunch. And then, we've all got to make a living. There's a money crunch. So, I know that in your nonprofit, you have parents who want to be writers, or they want to write again, or they want to get back to writing, or they want to still write, but they are, experiencing this. Can you talk a little bit about it?
I absolutely can. So first of all, the resources that you're describing, time, energy, and money, those are your personal resources that every single human being, whether they have kids or not, they have only 24 hours of time a day. But they have 24 hours of time a day, and they only have a limited amount of energy, but they have that amount of energy, and they only have however much money they have, but they do have that amount of energy. So assess how much you have. And then when you're trying to decide how to allocate these resources, just make sure that you're not putting them on a scales of justice. We are not people that are balancing one thing against another thing. It is not my children versus my career. That's not how it works. Your career is your career, and your children are a relationship that you are developing, that you are having, that you need to grow. Just like your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your mom, your relationship with, your neighbor down the street, they all take time, energy, and money from your large source of resources. And the way that I help people understand how to allocate these resources is to not look at it as scales of justice, but look at it as a mobile. So if you're looking at a baby mobile, there are 45 things hanging on it. And if you tie something new to that mobile, it's going to shift everything around. Everything is going to go kind of crazy. A baby is like a bowling ball. You've got this mobile of your life, it's pretty well balanced, and then you add a bowling ball to this mobile. Now, here's the thing. If you've seen great art like Calder, you can see that you can actually hang all kinds of crazy stuff on a mobile and have it balance. You just have to move things closer to the center or farther away from the center. And the more you load onto this mobile, the more you have to shift stuff around to make it all balance. But that doesn't mean you have to cut it and make it not work. And in fact, if you cut a mobile and you cut something important off of it, everything is shifting around anyway. So whether you're adding something important like a child or taking something important away like you're writing, you're going to affect this mobile that's your heart, that's your life, and that's your resources. So just allocate your resources as to like what's closer to your life right now. Like if your child has a broken leg, spend time with your kid. If your child is at school, go write a novel. Like you have this, it's not unlimited, but it's yours to allocate. So that's what we do.
Right.
That's what we do. You like
I think
it? Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, my God. I think that is like such an amazing metaphor. That's really great because
Maybe I'm a writer.
well, you know what? You're a creative thinker, obviously, right? And a writer is also visual. And so to find this visual metaphor, this is probably the best metaphor that I think I've ever come across when it comes to, life management.
Yeah.
It's fantastic because you're right. It's a matter of getting it to be in balance, but in balance doesn't mean everything's at the center. And
it doesn't mean, and it accepts the fact that things will change.
Yes, absolutely. That is way cool. That is way cool.
Because that's the thing with kids. And like this, I wrote a book about this, is all the stages. Stuff changes every single phase, right? Like your 7-year-old ADD is different from your 15-year-old ADD.
Mhm.
and
By
your
far.
1-year-old ADD when you don't even know what they have.
Yes.
Like
Right, right.
it's different.
Yeah,
And you just have to be this artist that's moving stuff around. You're moving like, okay, today I have to spend more time doing this. That's okay. It's still my time,
it is. It
right?
is. Absolutely. Okay. So I think that is probably a giant takeaway for listeners today is to think about everything like a mobile, and your art is gets to stay on it.
Hmm.
Okay. So we want to talk about the practical ways to do this, but then
Sure.
also I would like to, as the life coach, I would like to address the yeah buts. That's what my job
Sure.
is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but, because we have this identity as a we want to identify as a this or a that, and that's not really true. You did allude to it that being an artist, being a parent, they're not identities. They're things that we do, that we choose. They're things that we choose, I should say. Art comes from within. The way you creatively parent comes from within. Like, I used to have this laundry folding game. Yes, it took about 2 hours, maybe not 2 hours, a good 45 minutes to get laundry folded. But I put all the kids in a corner of the room, a different corner of the room, and I had the laundry basket, and I would ask them trivia questions about what I knew they were learning in school. And if they got it right, I'd go ding, 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 and I'd throw them a piece of laundry to fold.
That's
And it just,
awesome. I like that the prize is you get to do work. That's
yeah, they
amazing.
didn't see it that way. They thought,
I'm
I
instituting
got it
that. Like,
right.
if
And
you
then,
win, you get to do the
right.
dishes.
Exactly. But it made it not a chore because it was like
Right.
fun. So
Yeah.
everyone, you get to be creative in any way that you want to be creative.
Great. And
And
you were developing your relationship with your children instead of taking the laundry and putting it on the opposite end of a scale of I have to have children and I have to have laundry. You just mix it all up
yeah,
because it's
I meshed them
just
in there.
and you made it work because it developed your relationship with your kids to do this chore that is laundry.
Right.
And that's wonderful.
Right.
And then
Well,
now they're going to remember how to do laundry.
they know how to fold things. We call it
Yeah.
the laundry toss. It's the toss
Lovely.
for the laundry.
It's
So
so
they
cute.
just loved it, and it was time they got to show off what they were learning. Right.
Mhm.
It was time that we all spent together, and they could kind of learn about what each other was learning about. You
It's
know.
so great multitasking too, to
Yeah,
like
it
it's
was
your
super fun.
homework. It's
And
your
it was just
homework,
like
but it's also your housework and it's also your best
yeah,
people, your
yeah,
mom and
I
your
know, right?
siblings.
Laundry
Yeah.
toss. Yeah. So anyway, so you can use your creative energy in lots of different ways. And I love that you say, it's about shifting things. So when they're at school, maybe you can write and, you know,
Well, also there are things that you don't have to be watching. There are places that you go where you're sitting, like let's say you're at violin lessons and
oh
you're
yeah,
not allowed into the room.
right,
You're
right.
just in the waiting room. So
Yeah,
most of the time, the parent who is there with the kid is like frustrated because they have half an hour to like that they can't be with their kids, so they're kind of half listening through the door and then they are annoying. You could just write something, write a
right.
poem, work on a sentence. You don't have to write a whole entire novel. Write a little tiny snippet of something. Write ideas. Write a list of ideas. There's so
Right.
many
So
things
many
you could
things you can do.
do
Yeah,
with a half an hour of time in which you're not allowed to be with your kid, you
right.
know?
That's a really good point. Instead of doom scrolling, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
we had a parent in one of our accountability meetups who he was not allowed to be like in the swim practice time. It was 90 minutes and they were like on some bleacher. And so he just went and sat in his car. And he said it was like an office. It never occurred to him that if he stayed in the car, it was air conditioned, he could play his music and he could work. He could
Right.
just work. We can all work now with like hotspots or something.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
he's a really he's a USA Today published novelist. Like he's great.
Excellent. Oh, that's
Do it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one more pain point that I want to address personally as the coach
Mhm.
on the podcast here, and that's guilt. Um, when we are, it's very easy to feel guilty to do something for ourselves. We are in this, I'm 61 years old, so my generation of us as parents is very different than my parents' the way my mother and father were parenting us and the way they were parented. The children were not at the center of the universe when my grandparents and my parents were parenting. Not at all. They were just, and now my generation has put the kids at the center. Like we do, everything revolves around the kids. And neither is right or wrong. However, they're probably both a little one's too far one one's too far the other, right? Because when we're not giving ourselves what we're needing, the the most the worst part is the example we are showing our children that it sucks to be an adult. And that
Right.
is not the example because I work a lot with young adults as a coach, and they're like more stuck than any other generation ever has been about what do I want to do with my life because they're seeing their parents who are overing. They're overing everything. They're overdoing. They're like, I don't have time. I don't have energy. I don't have, and they feel guilt. So they're, over volunteering for for all the kids stuff, and they're exhausted and they're unhappy, and maybe they're staying in a job that they don't want to be in, and the kids are seeing this, and then they grow up and they turn, they get in their young 20s and they're like, oh my God, I don't want that. So we're
Yeah.
doing our children a disservice to be overing and not showing them the example of I'm a human too, and I want to do my creative stuff right now because I get to do it too. It's about me too. So,
Yeah.
there's so when we allow ourselves, I want to say give ourselves permission to feed our own souls, we can parent better because we are in better balance. We're in a better place. We're getting the food that we need in our soul. And then our kids see us more balanced and they like us better, like to hang out with us better because we're not freaking out and yelling and overing and so
I
it
like
makes us
telling my
better
kids that I'm
parents.
happy. Like it's nice to tell your kids that you're happy. You're like, "Well, mom, you're in such a good mood." Yeah, I wrote and I got some words on the page and it was really, they get very excited. I'm like, "I got a story published." They're like, "Oh, that's so awesome, mom, you're so awesome." Like it makes them happy to see you happy. Hello.
It does, yeah. And so what happens is there's no need to feel guilty that you're taking away because when you're giving yourself what you need, you're not taking away from your kids. You're
Exactly.
actually giving them an excellent example and you show up your better self, which is who they deserve. So
Right. It's
you're
relationship
giving to
building,
them.
right?
You're giving to
Relationship
them.
building. You don't like go and complain all the time to your favorite relationship. You say, "Hey, I'm doing great and this is what I'm doing and it's good and here's some stuff."
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
like you too because you're cute.
Yeah, there you go. And
Now we
as
can write together, right?
exactly. And as a sidebar, I do want to mention about the word identity.
Mm.
The problem with with having your identity be a parent, I'll start on the one side, a parent, that like I'm a mom, that's my identity, is when they go off to college, you have a giant identity crisis. You're like, they don't need me on a minute by minute basis. Like what now?
Yeah.
But
I mhm.
that is not your identity. And then why don't you address the identity as just an artist and what that
Well, it's really interesting because that part of what I did was I developed these creativity spas for parents of seventh graders because that's where the kids' school says don't overparent. The
Mhm.
kids' school says don't do their homework for them, don't help them, let them fail, let them do the thing. And parents are like, I can't do it. So that was a great time at which a parent can really take charge and find things to do for themselves that are their things that are going to feed them the way that you said, Linda, that you have to make yourself do something that you love to do. And like in my case, it's writing. You might play the clarinet, you might garden, whatever it is that makes you feel like so powerful and
Mhm.
awesome and ready to go and pick up the kids at pickup time.
Right.
But that's like even seventh grade. But as an artist, it's the same thing. You're trying to break this stereotype that artists are, heroin users that stay in their attics and have no friends and stay up until midnight making their crazy art. Like, oh, I went to the Swedish museum. What do they call the Nobel Prize Museum? And I saw that when I was there, 8 of the last 10 Nobel Prize winners in literature were parents. That's a life oeuvre.
Wow.
Yeah. The year that I was there, 8 of the last 10 Nobel Prize winners had kids. So it is over a lifetime that you get a Nobel Prize, not over one work that's brilliant,
Right.
right? So these people had a lifetime of writing beautifully and writing well. And like it, you can do this. Like it's doable. It's hard, but everything worthwhile is hard.
Right. But it's easier if you let go of the guilt.
Yes.
It's easier when you give yourself what you need.
Hmm.
It's because when you give yourself what you need, I want to say one more thing. A lot of one of the main reasons, like there's a lot of stuff all over the internet, self-care, 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 right?
Right.
But there's a reason that people don't do it. They want to do it. They post about it. They talk about it all day long. Oh, self-care, but they don't do it. The reason is they feel guilty about doing it. And they
Hmm.
feel guilty because they believe that other people's well-being is more important than their own well-being.
Well, and there's also that scales of justice. If I'm happy, everybody else is miserable. Like I'm not helping everybody else be miserable, be happy. You know what I
Not
mean? It's
true.
like
Right.
it's not a limited
Well,
happiness is not a limited resource. It is,
it's not. And also, happiness is an inside job.
well, I like
That's
that.
most important thing to know. No other human can make you happy.
Mm.
Only I can make me happy. Only you can make you happy.
Yeah, so then
Your
it's not your
emotion.
job to make anybody else happy.
No,
So
it's
you
not.
making yourself happy is
It's not.
never going to
No,
take away
it's
from
not
somebody
your
else.
responsibility to make your significant other happy or even your children happy. And because it's not within your ability, because
Right,
emotions are caused by our thoughts and what we're thinking.
right, right.
So you can say something to me and to someone else, and one person will be pissed off and the other person will be fine with it. And all you did is said the same thing. You
Yeah.
can't
Hmm.
control how they take it, what they
Right.
make it mean.
That's
So
good.
what we can teach our children about happiness is my kids, I've been saying since they were really little. And if you ask them, they'll say, my mom's been saying for my whole life, happiness is an inside job. They know I'm responsible for my own happiness. So when my daughter would be like, you're making me mad, I'd be like, not exactly, you know? So
Yeah.
it's how we interpret what's going on, and we interpret it through the lens of our own insecurities and our own fears and our own past experiences. So we're not seeing anything clearly and in truth. There is no truth. We can only see it through our own lens of schmutz. Our job is to de-schmutz that lens. And
I
when we
mean, it's
de-schmutz,
interesting to feel your feelings, to feel your feelings. If you are content with what you are doing, you're going to radiate happiness, and that might affect people in your room to
it will.
feel also lighter, also
Yes.
possibly happier. It's not like you're making them happy, but you are a peaceful
Well,
human
right.
who's
You'll
not
affect them.
mad at having to
Yeah.
be a mom.
You'll affect them energetically because just like dogs feel our emotions, humans feel each other emotions for sure. There's
Yeah.
certain people I know that when I sit next to them, I'm very fidgety because
Mm.
they're more like that pig pen energy,
Yeah.
like, you know, and
Yeah.
and so I'm like, whoa, look at I'm biting my nails, I'm all fidgety, like that's so weird, but that's not mine, that's theirs, right? So we do affect other people by our energy. Some people are more, everyone's attuned to it, but some people way more than others. Some people are highly empathic, and some people are just like so busy in their head they don't really notice that they are. But
Mm.
if you can really notice, a lot of times when we say we can feel our feelings, you got to ask yourself, is this mine or is it the person I'm sitting next to? Because we do, it's, I mean, just like our dogs, like we know that's for sure. Why would you think people have less than? People have that. Dogs, horses, we know that they react to the energetic stuff we're putting out there, how we feel. And
Mhm.
so do our children. I did this experiment in one day. My kids were in the minivan back then when they were little, and the boys were always like bickering, fighting, blah blah blah. My daughter's like a little one sitting in the car seat, looking out the window,
Yeah.
So normally I would have been like, "You guys stop hitting each other," blah blah blah,
Right,
right?
right.
But I did this experiment because I had just come back from a workshop where I worked with horses to learn
Mm.
how to use my energy in a more peaceful way for me and how it would ripple. So I'm like, okay, what did I just learn? And I recognized I was like frantically upset that I'm trying to drive and they're fighting and I got to worry about one hurting the other and also raising them to not be the kind of kids that hit,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what
Yeah.
kind of mama, like all this
A
stuff,
lot of
right?
stuff.
A lot of stuff going on. And I was like, okay, that's all my own thinking and worry. What if I just get myself to a peaceful place? So
Mm.
I just put on a song. It was really meaningful to me that made me feel really happy. And I just purposely went into that feeling of happiness. Like, this makes me feel
Yeah.
really good. And that's all I
Nice.
did. And then I'm not kidding, within 1 minute, the back seat was super quiet.
That's crazy. That's cool.
Small children are so attuned to our energy and what's going on. It's really
Yeah.
crazy. And I proved it. And you guys can just go prove that to yourself.
That's really
You
cool.
can get
That
yourself.
my son was at one point when he was little, he had a hard time hearing us when we were yelling at him. He just shut us out.
Right.
And so I once asked him, like, how can I get you to hear me? The reason I keep raising my voice is because you're clearly not listening and I need you to hear me. He goes, try whispering. And I tried whispering and it worked 100%. It
Yep.
was insane. I would walk up behind him and whisper, you have to do your homework. And he would leap out of his chair and do his homework. And it was crazy, but it worked. I don't know. Like, sometimes.
Yeah. And so, and weren't you more peaceful whispering
I
than
thought it was like
yelling?
I would laugh, and then it was like we're all laughing, and now we're all happy, and
Right.
everybody is doing their work. It's crazy,
Yeah.
and we're not in some kind of power struggle over who's going to be the loudest or the most heard or anything. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
So I just want to mention that if people are having this like, well, I can't, it wouldn't be right, I'm guilty or whatever, I don't deserve it, just know that your kids and your significant other deserve the best of you, and the best of you happens when you de-schmutz all the stuff that's in your way. That I'm not good enough. So
Mhm.
because if I'm not good enough to be a good writer, I'm just not going to try it. And then I'm going to be out of balance the whole time because that's what my soul is calling to do. So
Yeah,
get rid of that. I'm not good enough. That's actually my job. That's what I help people do. One of the main things is to know your worth, like at the cellular level, like when you know it. Can you imagine like what people's art could be if they actually knew at a cellular level that they are enough?
yeah,
Wow. Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, to just not be chasing after money, not be chasing after celebrity, not be chasing after outside notoriety or somebody telling you that your work is good. You just know it's
Right.
good. Well,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. That's definitely when I work with a lot of artists, singers, I've had painters. I've not had well, I shouldn't say no, I have had a writer, but she wasn't
Mm.
a writer when she started, but I helped her unleash so she could become a
Mhm.
writer.
It's
Um,
very
yeah,
exciting to watch writers unleash. Like we had a woman who had four kids, and she really had always wanted to write a memoir, and she had never tried it because she had never gone to school for it. And it was like you can start trying now. Like you didn't know how to cook when you first started cooking. You didn't know how to walk when you were born. You figured all this stuff out. Nobody is born with everything in them and they already know how to do everything.
right, exactly.
So it doesn't matter when you start. If you start in 10 years, you're going to be better. In 20
Exactly.
years, you might be perfect. You don't know. You
It's
might
called,
be you,
yeah,
you might be have such an aptitude that this all happens in 3 years for you. You have no idea because you haven't started. So go start something.
right. Yep. Start before you're ready. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, just try things.
Start before you're ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just finish up with something small
Mm.
because I know podcast listeners, they're like,
Mm.
oh, that was so awesome. And then they hit next, they listen to the next podcast, like go to the next, go to the next, go to the next,
Fair.
which I hope is my podcast, another one of the awesome episodes, whether it is or not. But before you go to the next podcast, we want to
Mm.
leave you with something small you can do so that you actually are in action because the universe loves when you take action because then it starts matching. Let's say, oh, you really do intend for this. So I will help you out. So um, your action shows your intention. So if you really intend to be able to do something creative, to be able to write
Yeah.
and parent very well,
Yeah.
both hang both from your mobile,
Mobile. You're
right?
mobile with lots of stuff on it.
Lots of
Yep.
stuff in it, right? What
Mm.
and what would you say would be one
So right
small way
now
to
to
start?
so right now before you move on to the next podcast, this second, pick up your phone and open the notes app and write about where you are. Like write about exactly the room that you are in. Describe your television, describe whatever room you're in or space you're in if you're in your car. Just do it. If you're driving, do it with your voice. Like just describe because what part of writing is seeing, is perceiving. So really look around where you are, be able to describe it so that a person who's not from this country, let's say, can actually picture what it is that makes your space yours right this second. Use all of your senses, your smell, your sight, your hearing, your everything. Just I don't know, don't try not to lick pencils. That's kind of weird. But like feel it. Just intensely feel where you are and take it in because you're in this moment at this moment. And like and then try to write it down if you can, if you're not driving.
And then once you've written it, you've written. So you
Now
broke,
you've written something.
right? You
Yeah.
broke the seal, like,
4 paragraphs.
oh, yay.
Then you can write a whole story set in that room. And it could be about cats or about aliens or about family, people being family. It could be anything.
Right. It could be anything. And there's a lot of little books out there that are like writing prompts. You can find them,
Mhm.
online. And the prompts are not that this is going to be your big work. It's to
Mm-mm.
get you, it's just to get things lubricated, right? To
That's
get you
right.
going,
That's
right?
right.
Because that's
I
all
think
that's
most
the
people
one
who
small
want to write have a secret
thing.
dream. They have a secret book in them.
Mm.
Almost everybody. There are poets, there are writers, there are songwriters, there's a musical. A guy's writing a musical in one of our accountability groups. Like there's something in your head. If you feel like you're a writer, there's something in there that you are scared to work on.
Oh, okay.
That's the goal.
And I know what my small thing is going to be to
Oh,
share.
what is it? Oh,
Oh,
go.
okay. It's going to be to write, one page about how you will feel when that has been unleashed to the world. Like,
Mm.
like it's like a random whatever, like, it's Saturday morning after it's been unleashed on Friday, and you're writing after, like, oh my God, yesterday was the best day of my life. This thing I was so afraid to put out in the world is out there now. And I'm so proud of myself and I feel amazing that it's out there.
Mhm.
And I'm reading the reviews and,
They're
like
all great.
they're all like more than I ever could have thought. Like, I'm so grateful that this was in me so I could bring it out into the world because I feel so great about being able to give this, right?
Mhm.
Like whatever you're writing about the next day after, like it just happened, right?
Yeah.
So that's like the small little thing. So whatever that secret desire is that you don't want to tell anybody about, you're like nervous to do, you're like, who am I to do this big thing? And by the way, you are absolutely here to do this big thing, or else the idea would not have been given to you by the universe, right? The vision entrusted to you, it's your job, your responsibility to get that vision out,
That's
right?
right.
So
If
write
it
about
wasn't
getting it
you,
out.
you have your own voice. You're
Yeah,
the only one in the entire universe that has your
I can
voice.
write
Otherwise,
that
you can
story.
outsource this stuff.
You
But
can,
like the point is, it's you, your voice, your story, your poem or song or whatever.
right? And
Yeah.
I will say it again because I said it in the intro. Your gifts matter.
Mm.
They are here to be unleashed into this world because they were given to you to make a difference. And whether the difference in the world is within your nuclear family or if you get to be like Oprah,
Mhm.
right? Right? It
Yeah.
That's the world. You've made a difference. Don't worry about how big or how far it goes. There is a ripple effect of giving your gifts to the world. So you gotta know your worth. You've got to discover that purpose of what you're supposed to be doing and why it's supposed to be out there. You got to get rid of all the crap that's in the way, and you've got to align your life so that you can get those gifts out into the world. That's what needs to be done.
That is exactly right.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for being on Conversations with Your Wow. Woo! This was so awesome. And I just want to ask you if someone wants to like maybe learn more about your nonprofit or see experience what you're doing, read any of your books, like what should they do?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of ways to follow me. I'm on all the socials at mmdevoe. I'm on Instagram at femkafka, but I have a website at mmdevoe.com and I have a Substack called This Is Ridiculous. And it is mmdevoe.substack.com. I also have a book called Book and Baby, which is a guide. It talks about how I founded this nonprofit, the first 10 years of it, and then it crowdsources real authors' experiences of having kids from the first 10 years of the salons. And the literary salons are available on YouTube. You can watch however many, I think 37 seasons of them. It's small groups of authors that have kids. Subscribe on youtube.com/penparent at Pen Parentis. Yeah, Pen Parentis. And then I have my own book of stories if you like weird little quirky horror stories that are not gory, but just kind of weird. Then you can get A Flash of Darkness. That's my book collection. And also, I wanted to invite you all. One of the people that are in my accountability group actually founded her own, though. So she wrote a novel in the accountability group. She got inspired. She finished it. She sent it out. She got an agent. She did the whole traditional publishing. It's called The Cheesemaker's Daughter. And Kristen actually started a writing residency in the Adriatic. It's called the Adriatic Writers Conference. And it is so beautiful. It's 5-star hotel. It's absolutely spectacularly lovely. So I wanted to invite you all to check that out. It's pretty great. I went and it was transformative, like just transformative. Health, it's just all about you and your writing. So if you're there in your life where you're ready for that, I do recommend it. And if you're in your life where you just need to write something down, I recommend that. Just get started. Get started. We all start by writing one sentence on one piece of paper.
Beautiful. Thank you, Em. This is awesome.
It's so
All
great to
right.
meet you, Linda.
Woo! Okay. All right. Well, so that is our show. And once again, I'm Linda Bucher on a mission to inspire and impact millions of people to get unstuck, know their worth, and share their gifts, deliberately creating big, beautiful ripples in the world, just like my guest today. And so if you're finally ready to get unstuck, right, get the most out of your life, head on over to lindabucher.com. It's a really great first step. And if this episode sparked something in you, which I really hope it has, be sure to like it, subscribe to the podcast, and then, share it with someone that you care about. And then come back next week for another honest, uplifting conversation to help you grow. So until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.